The most recent war bond given to us by Arrowhead was the Force of Law war bond, one that seemed so full of promise but failed to live up to its hype. Or did it? While the new assault rifle isn't great, its ammo economy being the biggest issue, we did actually get some pretty cool items in this new war bond, as well as a new superstore gun. And even though they aren't without their issues, they are still quite good. The two we're going to be talking about today are the Gl-52 de-escalator grenade launcher and the P-92 warrant pistol. Now, let's talk about the new stratagem first, the de-escalator. To my surprise, this gun is actually very good. Its ability to wipe large hordes of enemies as well as take on the biggest enemies like chargers, bio-titans, and even factory striders with a full magazine. It is a very versatile weapon. Now, each projectile functions very similar to that of the grenade launcher or the grenade launcher pistol, except on contact, the de-escalator gives off several energy arcs that hit any enemies around them, unlike the regular grenade launcher, which just explodes and has a big explosion, or the grenade launcher pistol, which does the exact same thing. Now, this, coupled with its 6-round magazine, will allow you to wipe out incoming hordes of any faction. The bugs, the bots, the Illuminate, anything is just completely wiped out, and it goes pretty hard. Now, of course, there are some issues and some downsides with this weapon, as there are with just about every weapon in Helldivers 2. This is just something we kind of have to deal with, and unfortunately, this one can be a pretty big issue. Now, this, of course, is the reload speed. As the de-escalator is a rounds reload gun, like the pump shotgun or the Constitution, which means basically you can fire one shot and then reload it and do that constantly, or you can fire all of them and reload all of them at once, but it does take longer than just replacing it with a mag. Now, plus the reload time is pretty long, as well you have to place 6 large grenades into a rotary grenade launcher, so it does take quite a while. Now, while you can reload on the move and you don't have to be stationary like the medium and heavy machine guns and many of the rocket launchers, you still, again, only get 6 shots per reload, making it have limited effect. However, this is a pretty good issue to have, as it means that it's very good at doing what guns do: kill the enemy. Now, the arc grenade launcher can take out basically any horde completely. It can even take out the factory strider in not a couple shots, but a full magazine at least. But that kind of struggles occasionally, so do use that with a bit of caution. Now, overall, I really like it against any of the factions, but it does especially well against hordes of bugs and squid fodder, wiping out large groups of enemies at once and dealing with all the patrols. No one is safe from this thing. Now, if you're enjoying this video, I want to quickly pause for a second and ask if you could consider subscribing, as I'd really appreciate it and it means a lot to me. Leave a like too if you want to, but now with that out of the way, let's get back to the rest of the video. Now, the other weapon we're going to be talking about today is the P-92 warrant, the secondary pistol. Now, while yes, this isn't in the war bond, but the super credit store is still connected to the war bond, as it came out with the same content drop, and it's pretty good. Now, the warrant is a sidearm pistol that has medium armor penetration and fires guided projectiles at enemies. Now, the guided projectiles fired are very similar to the Jar 5 Dominator projectiles, as they are like a gyrojet, except unlike the Jar 5, they are guided. Now, is this effective? Is this an effective weapon, or is it just kind of a gimmick? Now, it really depends on the situation you're in. The lock-on feature can be a little funky, as it can jump between enemies, but other than that, it works really, really well, as I have just used it several times, specifically against the bots, as that seems to be what it works best against. Now, all you have to do is point in the general direction of your target and fire a few bullets, which do the rest. However, this isn't a gun that can deal with everything. It can struggle to hit weak points on larger enemies like Devastators and Berserkers, those specifically because I imagine bots will be the biggest thing, simply because of hordes of bugs and squid. Now, that's not what it's meant for though. The bigger guys, not what it's meant for. I found it to be the best with dealing with the smaller guys, and again, any of the 3 factions, but specifically the bots. Now, specifically of which, those that are trying to call in, such as the bot drop, warp ship, or bug breach. Now, any of these things could be a huge issue for Helldivers to deal with at any given point on a mission, So it is always important to dispatch these guys as fast as possible to make sure you're not going to get overrun by more bots, bugs, or squid. Now, you can quickly dispatch your targets to prevent it without needing perfect aim, which is very, very nice. Now, as far as secondaries go, it's pretty good, but it is limited. It doesn't have the versatility of the grenade pistol or the ultimatum, which I actually really like the ultimatum because it deals with secondaries, although recently I've found it to have some issues with that, but that's a whole nother story. The grenade pistol is fantastic because it can deal with bug holes and a lot of other things, but the grenade pistol is pretty good as well. And even the Senator is pretty good, as it just does heavy damage, but it's not guided, and I would honestly put this gun over the Senator, but I wouldn't put it over the grenade pistol or the ultimatum. Now, what I've found is, again, it works best with the bots, and specifically trooper bots trying to call in bot drops, so that is what I would typically use for it. So I wouldn't really suggest it against the bugs or the squid, but again, that's your choice to take, and if you want to do that, you can, and it would probably work just fine. Now, overall, it's a pretty decent sidearm, but nothing that would change the game. Something that would change the game, however, would be a rifle, like a machine gun rifle, that uses this guided bullet feature. Maybe not like a high ammo capacity, but like a JAR 5 Dominator variant that fires guided projectiles, as I think that would be quite a cool weapon. Now, I would expect Arrowhead to release something like that, like maybe let's call it the JAR 6 JAR 6 guided Dominator or something like that in the next few war bonds, as they just introduced this feature. And yes, technically the Spear had this kind of feature, but at the same time, it doesn't really, it's a different sort of effect because that's a lock-on to fire a missile, whereas this is just locking on and you're firing bullets at will. You can fire up to 13 bullets per magazine, and you have 7 magazines in reserve. Now, with that being said, remember, Helldivers, for Super Earth and managed democracy, I'll see you next time.